Dad loves the spray paint. Also finished up cleaning up this fuel tower, and this is the taller, newer version. So we've rebuilt the lift pump, and I'm waiting for some seals, some parts. I've got a new ferrule for this to replace it, but I'm going to do that after we paint. I've chased all the threads to get this thing ready to go. Part of the paint prep is now straightening out little panels and body panels, and Dad cleaned this up with the ball peen hammer a little bit. They were over tightened and pulled in. That's an access cover for the fuel tower here, and then there's one here to drain large sediment, and then our lift pump goes in the bottom. We're making more gaskets. Might as well do it once, do it right. Got new lock washers, like we're putting on everything, and I got the correct proper bolts for everything. And we're gonna just go ahead and put this on here, right here. This has a little copper ring underneath of it, and I couldn't find a new one, but this one's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put it back on here. Dad's making some adjustments on the gasket for right there. Yeah, I did order one, but I don't really want to wait. We're already kind of behind on our self-imposed schedule here. This is another bleeder at the top. I'm gonna put just a little bit of sealant on the threads here. And I'm just using new copper rings that are for oil drain plugs on a car. And I've got some that are actually dimensionally the same as the one that came out of there. This is just that bleeder. Now I've cleaned it. I've cleaned the seat. So we'll just put it in here. And it doesn't need to be super tight. This is the 5P2682 socket. Kind of looks like the old shock absorber sockets. And it also fits the fuel barrels on the back of the injection pump. Still waiting for the gaskets to go here and on the other side of this. But this is a 7B6880. And it's the same as the plastic one, same part number. I've elected to use the aluminum one because who wants plastic? Put our cover on. Yep, Caterpillar. Got a little bit of thread sealant on this as well. And this is our bleeder up here at the top to let air out of the system. And I've also put a new copper crush washer in here too. That gets followed by this manual bleeder. Another plate that goes up here that Dad has already made a gasket for. And this is another area to drain and bleed the system. And there's a plate here, and there's should not be any fluids in here. This is where the throttle linkage connects to the governor linkage, and Dad's kind of cut out the bottom of this gasket that we've made right here, and it's kind of a self-centering deal. But these do not have to be super tight. And I noticed when I took the bolts off, they actually had little fiber gaskets that Dad has made on the bench to help keep dust out. And they were underneath the lock washer, but we're going to go ahead and do that again. And these do not have to be over tight, because if you over tighten them, it'll just crush this plate. It's just got to be tight enough to keep dirt out. We will definitely be back in here in the future. This is the fun part. And this is a part that takes up a lot of time. While I was degreasing things, and we've kind of known about this for a while, this little clip here is split, and this is a square bolt that actually goes in here. And that holds the bottom of the oil bath bowl on. You can see this one's still okay, and it's very thin metal there. So before I degrease this and we go to painting, I think I'm going to try and bend this back, and I might see if I can throw a little bitty weld bead on there with my MIG welder. No, that doesn't look pretty, but it is very effective. I got it welded really good, especially from underneath. I didn't really want up on top where I couldn't get in there, but now I can take a file and kind of square it up. We're just going to leave it alone, that little bit of extra material on there, give it some strength. And it's not going to interfere anything. We've test fit the bolts several times. So we can clean this up and get some paint on it. Wake up, Goliath! We're going to put you to work. You're going to hold a few things while we paint. We've got everything hung up here and spaced and separated, and I'm sure this stuff's going to blow like wind chimes when we start spraying paint on it, but I think we're ready to do it. And of course, we're going to do our primer first. So far on this project, we've used how much?
Almost a half gallon, not quite. A little more than a half gallon left here.
So the primer cover's good, and it's lasted quite a ways. We got the track frames to do, probably the track pads, a lot of the sheet metal, but I think 1 gallon of primer is going to do this whole job.
Well, all these small parts, we waste a lot.
Well, that's true.
You know, when we get to painting the bigger pieces of tin, it's more efficient.
And what are we on our highway yellow paint?
This gallon's almost gone. I'm hoping we'll have enough here today to do what we're doing here today, but we'll see.
But we have 2 more gallons?
2 more gallons and a quart.
And a quart. So hopefully that'll do it. But that stuff does not cover well. Yellow takes a lot of coats.
Minimum 2 coats. Quite frankly, I just ad-lib till it sprays good in the gun. But it didn't take too much. It's almost 7 to 8 parts primer to 1 or 2 parts of thinner. It's been working good. We got the regulator set back up to 40 psi, and that seems to be consistently what works best.
Warm enough, and the wind has luckily let up, that we can get a coat of color on later this afternoon.
Good, don't it?
Yeah, it does. A little for Goliath. We got a little primer left over. Not too bad.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good.
Looks good to me.
I got paint mask mustache. There we go. Look at that, it's calm now. All of a sudden it's calm outside. We quit painting, so it's calm. While all this stuff is curing in the sun, and we're not going to probably be able to get another coat on here today, but what we can do is get the valve cover off of this engine. We want to do a better job on it so we can sand it down and prep it and get it ready.
Should stick to the...
Yeah, we're fine.
See how nice?
Oh, look at that.
It's beautiful, ain't it?
It is. We were very unhappy with the finish on this valve cover, so we want to blend this out and have a nice hot rod looking finish on here. We could rattle can prime this.
Yeah.
We're starting with 120 grit, and we'll go lighter and feather it out from there. Dad's doing a little hand sanding, and we're going to bump it up to 220 grit. There's a pretty good chance that the finish on this is going to be better than it was from the factory. It's actually filling in a lot of those lines and imperfections from the stamping.
I can feel it.
Yeah.
And if you can feel it, you'll see it.
Dad and I are a little embarrassed with our last little coat of paint on here. That was not what we wanted. You can see right here where they stamped it out and rolled it, and that paint and primer has actually filled in between some of those a little bit. We're going to dust this with a little bit of primer to see where our high places are.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. I think we'll do finer sandpaper on our hood and fenders and a lot of things, but really we're pretty happy with this, with the 240. Going to wipe it down with a little bit of degreaser, and we'll put a coat of primer on it. Then when we get to our cat, highway yellow for all this stuff, we'll put that right in here in the mix. I think our break from the wind lasted long enough to get the other parts done, but we had to bring the valve cover inside to finish it up. That looks a lot better, a lot smoother. There's no scale, no issues in there. There's a lot of humidity in the air today, but I think we're going to give the paint a try. And we'll get our first coat of yellow, highway yellow on here. Then we're expecting a few days. I don't think we're going to be able to do any more painting since Dad's not here today. I'm the captain now. I am anyway, but I let him think. You know, it's just happy chair. Told you it was for Caterpillar yellow paint. This is pretty much going to use up what's left of this paint. Okay, let's go to work. All the parts got a fresh coat of yellow. Now they're going to need one or two more, but everything's coated. Even the floor. Even the valve cover turned out okay. See, I got a bug that landed on there. I'll have to get that off after the paint dries, but I think we're okay with all of this. What do you think, Big Stripes? I think we could do another coat today. This stuff is a little tacky, but it's set up pretty nicely. What do you think? Oh, we got a bug. Oh no. Always on the part that you don't, you know, like you could get away with it on some of these other parts, but man, this is a center. Hey, kitty, don't knock this over. Come here. Come here. Come on. There we go. Saw another one on this valve cover over here too. The two parts that I don't want stuff like this, where it'll be very visible. I don't want it on anything, but these are the two that people will see. I think I can get another coat on this stuff today. What do you think? You're just bound and determined to tip that over, aren't you? All in all, I'm pretty happy with the paint job from yesterday, and I think it's going to be warm enough this morning. I'm going to give it another coat. Everything's cured well enough I can handle it, and I've got everything rotated to a different area so I can get paint on different places. Big Stripes is out here making sure that I got everything correct. And I think we'll sit in the sun for a little bit. I'll pet Big Stripes. And as soon as it warms up, we'll go for another coat. Had to make 2 batches of paint yesterday. And the first batch I got a little wet. And I had some runs right off the bat. But the second batch, I got spot on. So hopefully I can hit it right today. Now it's time for round 3. That's 3 coats, including the primer. They may need a few more, but we'll touch them up as we need to. I think we're ready to start putting things together. I do want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. And as soon as it warms up, we'll go for another coat. Oh! No! Kitty! Oh, no. I think this valve cover is just bound and determined to have something wrong with it. That was kind of my own fault, but this is a lot more Big Stripes proof. I still love that cat.